Yes, welcome to No Ideas Original featuring Shannon, Mr. Rob, and Zane. What's up, y'all? How y'all doing this week?
Good,
What's up?
bro.
What's up? What's going on, everybody?
Good.
Hanging in there. Yo, Zane, yo, we forgot to tell you, me and Rob took the road trip to BK this week, to Oko Farms.
How was it?
It was dope, yo. It was
Man.
dope. We had a chance to meet Yimmy in person. Shout out to Yimmy
Shout
and
out
Big
to you.
Wahud. She gave us a tour of the farm, told us how what the layout was, talked to us about the red tape, the red tape that she's encountered also with keeping the farm operational, and the plans also that she has to grow the farm. Like they're looking at another location.
And she's working with some other people too, man. And I think they call Universal City out in Brownsville. They just purchased a warehouse. So she brought her design to the warehouse. So they're gonna be growing fruit in Brownsville, Brooklyn. Fruits and vegetables in Brownsville, Brooklyn too.
I'm gonna place an early order for the mashed out posse greens, yo.
Nice,
Yo, the crazy thing is, as we driving through Brooklyn, we probably went like 2 or 3 blocks and ain't nobody have a mask on.
Nobody, son. Crazy.
Nobody have a mask on. And I don't know if you see like on the news now, they talking about like all these hot spots in New York too.
Mm-hmm.
And that is coming back in full. COVID is supposedly coming back around. So I was a little surprised. I'm like, damn, yo, ain't nobody have no mask on.
Brooklyn got like 30 hot spots.
Brooklyn hot right now. Brooklyn always been hot, but they extra hot right now.
They on fire, son.
Yeah,
Crazy, man.
But the visit was definitely dope. I learned some things, because I'm a future farmer, so I learned a lot about what she's growing, how she's growing it, her design. I didn't know about the fish situation because she's using fish. You know what I mean? So she's digging them and she's putting them underground. It's a whole process.
Aquaponics, right? That's aquaponics.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yo, the size of the fish though that she had though was like, if she had fish that huge.
It was big, so and they come up to the water for you to pet them. I'm like,
yeah.
Size of small catfish, damn near.
Probably bigger.
It was healthy, son. It was healthy. It was really healthy.
Probably bigger.
We enjoyed it, man. It was a good time, man. Shout out to Oko Farms and Yemi, man.
Yeah. That was definitely a good look. But what you been up to, Zane? What you do this week so far?
Oh man, just still doing my little biking thing, trying to get back in shape. I actually signed up for a membership at Planet Fitness. I'm looking to do that, I guess, probably by like next week. I went and looked at the the little tour or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing about it is that I don't know how to swim. I've always been to pool parties and all that, throwing people in pools, but never knew how to swim.
You gonna take lessons? You gonna take lessons?
Well, shoot, they don't even have swimming lessons at Planet Fitness. They don't even have a pool, so I'm like, damn, yo. So I might they have a Gold's Gym down the street. I might consider doing Gold's Gym. But I'm gonna just do once more. I'm gonna go through another tour through Planet Fitness and then weigh out my options from there. But 8 times out of 10, I might just do Gold's Gym. I believe the one down the street has.
What are you looking for in the gym, though? What exactly do you want?
I'm looking for a real good dietary program, as far as like having like the nutritionist and all that, doing like the meal plans and all that. I'm looking to get
What up,
Cole? Like I don't want to be in the joint every day, but I would say at least like 4 out of 7 days. Because a lot of times too that people, I mean, not to stray off too much from the subject, but a lot of times when you see people's biceps, they might have like a big bicep right here, then another one be like medium size or just look deformed. Because 9 times out of 10, they doing that joint every day. You got to let the muscle fibers break down, and then build back up. So you're supposed to do your like if you're doing legs, you do legs every other day. You do upper body, you do your arms, you do it every other day. Not every day.
That's right.
That's
right.
Yeah. But I'm looking for like an overall balanced out type of situation, man. Because I wanna definitely get back up. I mean, I'm already 200. I don't want to be no more than like 205. But I want to keep like a chisel physique.
How tall are you?
5'10".
Okay. Yeah, about the same height as me.
Okay.
Yeah.
About the same height as me. I mean, yo, I was a member of Planet Fitness for a little bit of time. It's a cool gym.
Pretty good experience.
Yeah, I think it was. It was a good experience. I tell you one thing though, the one thing I didn't like about them is I had signed a contract, and the contract was like a damn record deal. Like it was mad pages and it was mad language to get out of it at the end and everything. And then I'm gonna be honest with you. Then my wife signed me up with a gym with a personal trainer, and he's doing boot camp and stuff like that. And that was a much better experience. It was a much better experience because it was, you actually had the hands-on approach with somebody working with you, telling you like, this is what you need to do, this is how you should eat, pushing you.
And I think I would work better with a trainer.
But them trainers are slave drivers though. I think actually Corey, at one point was a trainer doing trainer work. But them trainers is slave drivers, man. But I got better results out of it. Out of Planet Fitness, it was just me going there, getting on the machines, watching the TV. It just is. If you're looking for glamour, glitz, and the look, Planet Fitness and Edge is up by us. Edge, those are the type of gyms.
Edge is up here.
Looking like to really get in the gym and like really work out, or like dudes that's like legit trainings and stuff like that. Maybe a smaller gym with a trainer, and of course, when you get a trainer involved, it costs a couple of more dollars.
Yo. So tell me this though, right? So after during the situation when you was having the personal trainer and stuff, like after you left out the gym, would you hearing the Rocky joint like? You felt good, or it took like a certain amount of days in order to like feel get into that second mode?
The first real talk, the first day I went, I left out. I was like, I don't know if I could do this. It's the first day I went when I first started doing. I was doing like boot camp, and boot camp was like nonstop for an hour. It was like a circuit, like you running.
You was ready to crack.
You how you call you doing all kinds of different shit, and it was intense. And I remember getting in my car, I was like, man, like what did I get myself into? Then by the third day, and my body got acclimated to it and everything, and I got good with it and got into the routine. You start looking forward to it. You feel good.
Right.
You feel good.
You just have no ice baths or nothing.
Nah.
Not that extreme. Okay.
Nah. I how you call it, like it was good. It was good. Like even now, like exercising, I exercise regularly in my house. I got so much stuff in my house. That's why I will probably never get another gym membership. I personally feel like gym memberships could be wasteful. I think a lot of people invest in gym memberships, and then they start on strong, and then after a while they start exercising. But for me, I got to just go down to the basement. I go down to the basement. I got like my chin up bar. I got my bike. Got elliptical. Got dumbbell.
Yeah, brother.
That's the one thing too, because back when we had arsonists from Heatmakers on the show, y'all was talking about the elliptical.
Peloton.
Like I'm sorry, Peloton. Y'all say that joint is crazy.
Yeah, it is.
You gotta really be in shape for that, and really have a mindset to keep it going with that.
Yeah.
Shout out to arsonists from Heatmakers too, though. That was an excellent interview we did back then. Couple months ago.
For the Peloton, she was working that.
Yeah, and Peloton, not to give them any free plugs, but Peloton they came out with a new machine too. They got the Peloton Plus. The Peloton Plus got the screen that swivel around. So right now the Peloton, it's not only got cycling, but it's got floor exercises, meditation, yoga, got other things on it also. But the screen is stationary in front of you. On the Peloton Plus, the screen I think flips around, so you can actually turn it to face out and put your yoga mat or whatever it is on the floor, so it's costly, but it's the price of what you probably pay for a gym membership. Probably less than what you would pay if you actually got a trainer.
Right.
That's a fact. That's all facts. Peloton stock is through the roof right now.
Shout out to my man Mike. Yo, Mick, what's good, kid? I see you, kid.
Yeah, Zane, what you were saying?
How much the Peloton's on for? I'm saying right, Peloton,
yeah. I'm trying to remember what I paid for mine. I feel like it may have been like $2,000 or something like that.
$2,000?
Yeah, about that, yeah.
That's the investment, yeah.
Yeah, and then you get a month. You got to pay.
I paid $2,000 for that, man. That joint better come with muscles. That joint better come with muscles or something.
Yo, how much you
attach the muscles onto my body or something?
How much you gonna pay for a gym membership? What you gonna pay? $10 a month?
That was nothing, bro. Like for the year, it was like. I think it was like $60 some odd, I think, for the year. I think so. The dude gave, it was like 60 or 80 or something, like with everything inclusive.
Yo, like that ain't no Planet Fitness. That's some joint you going to. You sure you ain't going to a crack house with exercise equipment?
Just so you know why.
Joint called Beam Me Up Scotty Fitness.
$60. Yo, Jim can't even maintain the equipment and the staff for $60.
Nah, I mean, I'm ballpark. I think I looked at the joint. It says something like $60 some odd
a year.
I might be wrong, but I remember seeing something like $60 some odd. I think no. I think monthly it was like 20 or 12, like $12.
That sound about right, because I know Planet Fitness had a promotion where they was doing like $10. I think it was like $10 a month or something like that. Yeah. But yo, you better be careful. OG Dad said the most gym memberships are less expensive than one doctor visit. That's true. But yo, here's the science behind that. You know that right now they give you preventive medicine. A lot of companies offer incentives for you to go to the doctor, and they pay for gym memberships because they know it keeps down the cost of the insurance if you actually have to go to the doctor. And now here's another fact before we get into tonight's topics. Going to urgent care and going to the emergency room is far more costly than going for a primary care physician doctor. And statistics show that younger employees go to the doctor, and when they do go to the doctor, they usually go to urgent care or they go to emergency room because they don't have a primary care physician. Ask me how I know this stuff. Is it sorry? So I want to bring a conversation that we were having in private in our group chat yesterday onto the platform to discuss with everybody that's tuned in watching, because I thought it was an interesting discussion. So for those that don't know, Lord Jamar has the Godcast, which is a podcast with him, Rod Digger, and Godfrey. Mm-hmm. And he had Dr. Umar Johnson on, and him and Dr. Umar Johnson got into this heated debate. Well, it wasn't heated on Lord Jamar's part because he was just kind of, sitting back, chilling, listening to what Dr. Umar Johnson had to say. But the debate came up when they began to question Dr. Umar Johnson about how long it's taken for his school to actually be built. Now, Dr. Umar Johnson has been on the circuit for a minute. He's a scholar. He's written a number of books. He's done a lot of good work in Philadelphia. The school is supposed to be in Wilmington. And Wilmington is actually, Wilmington is where my mom's side of the family comes from, too. So I spent tons of summers in Wilmington, Delaware. So it would be much appreciated there. I think it's the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey charter school that he's trying to put together for young Black men. Mm-hmm. But the dilemma is that they said that he's into like year 6 now, and they were saying that there's no electricity, there's no HVAC, and that it's taking forever to build the school. So he getting tons of pushback around it, and he got upset when Lord Jamar questioned him about it. So Zane, let's go with Zane. Zane first. Zane, what did you think about it?
Well, first of all, anybody that dares to invite Dr. Umar Johnson to interview, it's going to turn into a debate and a headache. Don't get me wrong. The dude is a solid individual. He seems like a very accredited person to even have that title as doctor. He is an intellectual. He knows about a lot of things that are, good for the well-being of us black men, and for the Black woman, and just for Black people and just people in general. But he's tapping into the black economy and Black self-awareness and everything else. But from what I've witnessed, when Rod Digger asked this dude, well, Dr. Umar Johnson, I guess to start off small, why is he not starting off small? He did give a very good, solid answer. He said, okay, he was like, when it comes to, he gave like 16 different reasons. He was like, when it comes to this, you buying Louis Vuitton, or you buying Polo, or you buying this big Benz or whatever, do you start off small there? No, you guys do the grasshopper. We do the grasshopper. So when it comes to as far as the well-being of the younger generation, why not start off big? Let's start off medium. Why are you going to start off from the minimum? So right there, and then when he was talking, he was edging it to Rod Digger, but it was a segue after that. Like he was like, yo, you don't start off small when you want to get your braids done and all this other stuff, and you want to spend $200, $300. And Rod Digger, I saw her, I felt the energy through the damn YouTube I was watching, I was like, yo, he's digging in. And at the same time, Lord Jamar knew that it was right too. But at the same time, Lord Jamar got to come to defense, and he has to be balanced. But overall, I mean, yo, Dr. Umar Johnson, just with that answer alone, it was solid. I tip my hat off to him. But when it comes to whenever you come on and you interview, a lot of times the people that's asking them questions, it's not necessarily from that person asking questions. They might want to, just have a general question. So I kind of felt that towards like his argumentative tirade, like I guess after like the first 15, 20 seconds, that's when it probably clicked in that Rod Dick is not asking that question just from her perspective. She's just asking a general question. And that's kind of how, it kind of fizzled out after that. But overall, solid dude. I want to see him open up more than one school, as so as everybody else. And that right there is just, I guess the beginning of a new beginning as far as for getting these schools and these right platforms, for the education of the younger generation. Salute to him.
What'd you think, Rob?
I mean, when you build a building, I thought it was weird when he said he didn't have plumbing, electricity, and HVAC. I thought that was all part of the process when you're erecting a building, especially with plumbing and electricity. If you're looking to house people, for a building to go up and not have that seemed a little weird. But
well, let me. You know what, Rob? It's funny you say that because I was trying to figure that out. Also, I was wondering if he's building from scratch or if he purchased a property that didn't have this stuff already in it.
Right, and either way, like,
because if you're erecting it, then you're not gonna leave out all of those things. Those are fundamental.
Right. Especially electricity. You know what I'm saying? Electricity is probably the first thing, and then plumbing. HVAC, you maybe can hold off on that for a little while, but I agree with Corey's point. It's very hard to erect a school with just national or public funding. I get that, but at the same time, if I was building a house, the first thing I would think is I need a toilet, I need a sink, I need these necessities in there, especially when you're dealing with children in this climate. And for it to be 6 years, it leaves questions open for Lord Jamar to be like, yo, I know people that have built schools. Matter of fact, Michael Blackson, just to shout him out, just built a school. Yeah. My wife has sent me that. But so there's too many holes in it. And just to piggyback off of what Zane was saying, this guy is very smart. He's very intellectual. He knows a lot about psychology. He knows about the public school system to the jail pipeline system, and why they've been putting kids on Ritalin and all these different drugs. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know, which I found out on Cannon's class, is that when kids are diagnosed for ADHD, the school system, the public school system, alerts the federal government, and they get a welfare check for every child. So you have money coming in for every child that you denote special ed or have a learning disability. But in the same token, they're refusing to identify the gifted children. Would get the same benefit if you were to alert the government that we got some gifted kids too. So I think Nick Cannon had mentioned he was one of those kids that was ADHD, but he come to find out he was just a kid that needed to be challenged, which most of us are. We just need a little outlet, whether it's learning an instrument or learn
differently.
You know what I'm saying? Instead of just saying this kid he can't sit still, put his ass on Ritalin. Fuck, you know what I'm saying? And then he becomes irate, and then he's sick and go punch somebody in the face. And now you got a kid going to Spofford, and now he's in Rikers, and then the pipelines. I get it.
Here's my issue though with it though, because I feel what he's saying.
Peace, God.
I feel what he's saying, but to go back to the funding, if he's doing this with public funding and he's asking for donations, then there has to be transparency. You have to be transparent, and you have to be able to answer those questions, and you have to be able to answer those questions without becoming defensive. If you're, and to his point, it wasn't like he came on that platform to solicit donations from them. But Lord Jamar said, how about if I did want to donate? His response was, well, it's been 6 years and you haven't donated yet. So you're not gonna
bad answer, right?
But here's the thing. If you are truly looking for public donations when you go to do all these interviews, and he's on a circuit. He's a self-proclaimed. I think he said he's the most booked scholar or most demanded scholar to go on these shows.
He's the most hated somebody.
But he has to be. You have to be able to answer these questions, and if you don't answer them, and you become defensive about it, then it gives the illusion to people that, you know what, that you're not transparent and that the money is going to other things, and that maybe you're not doing what it is that you say you're doing. And it's unfortunate because I've heard him talk about the school for many years, and I don't doubt that he has good intentions and that he's trying to build a school.
Absolutely.
And I think that some of the frustration that you hear coming from him is probably the fact that maybe he thought that the process would be a little bit easier than what the actual process is. He has to also, to me, be a little bit more open to potentially if other people could be of a resource. Because when he said that to him, Lord Jamal was saying, well, my father-in-law built the school. Maybe he could be a resource. And he's like, I'm not trying to build that school. I work with the best psychiatrists, the best psychologists. I'm a certified professor. He launched it to a tirade, and it's like, yo, dude, all right, so what is there that we can't say nothing to you about the school? How do you explain that to me? How do you get public donations from the public if you're not transparent or you become defensive when they ask you, hey, by the way, what are you spending my money on?
Right, exactly. And you have the right to ask for that. I want to see receipts, nigga. Where that bricks is being laid at. And he got out of pocket, man, and started getting defensive. You seen his ego coming out and going back and forth. And that's when I was like, you know what? I'm glad that clip that Zane showed was only 11 minutes because I wouldn't have been able to watch that. I was like, get this shit out.
Yo, but to Lord Jamal's credit, tell me Lord Jamal wasn't patient.
Yo, he was patient.
He's really waiting for him to slip the fuck up.
Yeah.
To slip up, then he can read him the riot act. Because it's like, look, I'm offering you, brother. Like, I'm in this community too. I'm in the conscious community as well. I see degradation. I see where ignorance is bliss in my community. People don't want to learn. I got children too. I come from the hood too. So why wouldn't you take my donations, nigga? What the fuck is wrong with you? So, you know, it seemed real out of it just seemed a little crazy.
You know what it seems to me, brothers? It seems like a lot of times, instead of when
Go ahead, bro.
It seems like whenever Dr. Umar, and I'm saying like the majority of his interviews, man, from Breakfast Club to Roland Martin to everything else, it's like instead of like talking to people, he talks at people. And then once that happened, like a person on that forum of whatever multiple interviews that he had, their antennas might have went up. But as soon as he comes out and he gives that certain verbiage, the antennas go down. And then they become defensive, and then he becomes defensive. But more likely, he's more defensive than anybody else that's on that platform. And that's his trap.
Well,
like, I wouldn't even want to be in the same room talking with that dude because he's always going to come off as like,
you know something though. Like
Zane wants smoke. I think Zane wants some smoke. Zane, you ready to fight somebody?
Let's be
man. Dr. Umar Johnson is the headache.
He probably is encountering resistance. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure wherever he go, he encountering resistance around it. The brother trying to do something good. I'm optimistic. I'm one of the people that are like, yo, let me wait. Let's see where it goes. Now, here's the other part of it, though. I don't have a coin invested in it. So I have the right to be like, all right, wherever it goes. Right, but if I was somebody who was an investor, I would have questions and be like, all right, so you said that I was contributing and the building was going to be completed and students were going to be in by when?
Right.
You know, so who knows? Who are we to say that those people that are investors, he's not answering questions for? I seen a live yesterday I seen a live, and he was on the live and he was talking about like a quote he got for HVAC. And I think he said that he got a quote for like $300,000 or something like that.
And that's per square foot, because HVAC is a very technical. When putting a system in, you got to go through duct work. You got to know what vents are. You got the ducts coming in and out, ventilation coming in and out. It depending on the space, and it could be more. But my thing is, when you're building a building, that should be a part of the plan. Right. You shouldn't build the building and then later on, let me go see how much it costs for HVAC. Come on, son. All the contractors are on ground together. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's some of the investigative work that I got to do. I got to see if he's building a building from scratch or if he purchased the property. And Corey, you in the property industry, you could probably answer this in the chat for us. You know, like I would think, and I don't want to make the assumption, but I would think that if I was going out to purchase a large piece of property, that I'd probably be like, you know what, let me look to ensure that things like HVAC and stuff like that is in. But I will say this to his credit, though. I will say this to his credit. You know, I worked for an organization and we opened up an office in Orange County. And then after we signed a lease, we didn't realize that the actual system that they had set up to bring the internet in was not good. So it took us a number of months to actually get to a point where a cable company came out and they ran all kind of cables and everything for us to get the right internet. So there is a possibility that maybe he went in to the building, like the building, and didn't think about that stuff. But I just find it hard to believe that you buy a property that wouldn't have that.
And that's what's not settled with me. Cable, internet, that kind of comes after you get electricity and plumbing. Those two things is necessary.
That is wild. He said, I sincerely hope that Dr. Johnson didn't use the same architects and builders Trump University used. I think that's what people are intimating. People are alluding to that. Nobody's outright saying it, OG Dad, but I think that's what people are alluding to, that there may not be, there's a school, a physical school, but there may not be a school to come. But for this to go on for 6 years, I personally, like I said, I like to believe that Dr. Umar Johnson is working on the school. Right. And I get why he would say, I don't want to start small. You know why? Because it's that man's vision and he's trying to make his vision come to life. You know, I respect that. My feedback for the brother, if he would listen, would just be like, yo, you can't get defensive. And if you're seeking donations, you have to be able to answer these questions and keep your composure.
Right. You know what though, Shannon? I was like you and Rob mentioned earlier. I agree. I was very surprised that Dr. Umar Johnson came off like that, because just by Lord Jamar saying the situation, that could have been a future plug like that. But when you do stuff like that, it's damage control. You don't just shut somebody down. You got at least, hear what the person says, and then maybe, you can build on to greater and better things. But if you always if Dr. Umar Johnson will always think like that or be combative, that's going to short-live a lot of things that he's trying to do.
Yeah, combative. And we already got to wear the stereotype of being angry black men.
Yeah.
Yo, what's wild is I seen somebody did like a review video of it, and the dude, you could tell him and Dr. Umar Johnson must have had a run-in at some point. And the dude was saying, he was like, if that's your response to how you deal with people when they ask questions, and you're going to be the principal of the school, he's like, how are you going to deal with students? How are you going to deal with parents? How are you going to deal with teachers? And I was like, yo, homeboy got a point with that.
It's going to be like the movie Full Metal Jacket.
Corey said there's a lot of factors with the MEP scope of work, change of orders, missing drawing details, firing contractors, permit issues, and other things. So yeah, it's definitely.
Yeah, it's a marathon, man. It's nothing but 6 years. That's a long time, man. And people, I guess, with the way the world is, you would think, you would have, like he said, he got the school, he got people in his corner supporting him. Let's see what happens. You know what? It'll all go away once the school is over.
Facts. Yeah. God bless that brother. Yo, so let's segue into the vice presidential debate. Boy, we are expecting some real fireworks. Some real fireworks coming off of the Trump versus Biden. Yo, we calling it Trump versus Biden like it was a smack URL battle.
That was a piece of shit show. And I'm glad the vice presidency came back, and it was a little bit more intellectual than the first one, man. I loved it. I think Kamala really took matters in her own hands. She looked very good. Although she looked a little nervous at first, but I think that was natural being on national stage like that. But she was hitting points, man. She was scoring buckets, man. One of the biggest things is about knowing about Corona in January, early January. To my knowledge, Corona was known in October, because the holiday was coming up. Niggas wanted that money. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. They ain't tell nobody. You know what I'm saying? So, and what was the excuse? He didn't want to alarm the masses. Nah, son, I don't care what you say. You let people know. 200,000 people passed away. Early March and April, there's about 150 of them people done died. So, you know what I mean? And we spoke to Rice, you and I personally, right on the front line, right when shit was happening, and he was watching people just pass out, man. You know what I mean? And he's talking about one of the things Penn said, everything that Dr. Fauci was telling Trump, he informed the public. This nigga's up there lying. He's up there lying for Trump, holding Trump down for all these lies. I just found it to be amazing, man, to be in this time and him looking so cool and so calm, knowing he's going bone-faced lies by that fly flew on his fucking head. Bullshit. Full of shit. That's why.
Yeah. Everybody in the chat right now, for everybody that's on in the chat, who did you have winning the debate? If you had Kamala winning, put Kamala. If you had Pence winning, put Pence. So, here's my take on it. I thought it was much more civil than a presidential debate.
Absolutely.
Again, though, there's been poor moderating of these debates so far. It's like the moderators.
Thank you, Vice President. Thank you.
It's like the smack battles. Like, you ever watch the smack battles or smack, like, yo, hold it down. That's what the moderators are like. Like, it's just, the moderating is not good. And then here's the other thing that I don't understand. With race being such a huge issue right now in this country, and all we're talking about is everything related to racism. Like, they've made race such a small part of the presidential and the vice presidential debate. Like, it's just a quick soundbite, like, just a blip, like Breonna Taylor, next, move on. So I wasn't feeling that. Pence, to me, had a tough task in defending Trump. But I'll say this about Pence. Pence stayed on message. He stayed on message. Like, he didn't
answer. He seemed like he didn't answer anything.
But tell me this. Did you not? I left there watching it like, this dude actually believes the stuff that Trump is saying.
Yes, he's convinced. Yes, sir.
Yeah, like he definitely drank the Kool-Aid, and he played his role as the vice president.
Yes,
Trump doesn't think highly of career politicians, but to me, Mike Pence looked like a career politician. Like that night, like he was like very poised, stoic, and like he was very well rehearsed. I think both of them missed opportunities in that debate. Like, I think Kamala missed an opportunity to really drill down and tie the stuff with COVID to the pre-existing conditions, right? Because most of the people got hit really hard by COVID were people who already had pre-existing conditions. And then you got to figure on the other end of this, there's going to be a lot of people that have these long-lasting effects as a result of COVID. So it's going to be important for everybody to have access to affordable healthcare. And I think that she kept sticking them on COVID, but I think that she should have tied that in with, and you guys want to repeal the Affordable Healthcare Act, knowing that people, she should have stayed on that. I think Pence missed on Kamala's attorney general and district attorney record. And that's all.
He tried to throw a jab at it, but
he high called. He really didn't hammer it home, and I don't know if he probably felt like, it's insensitive as a white man bringing that topic up and talking about it, because all these debates are supposed to be about strategy. And then lastly, I would say that my understanding is that Trump has bowed out of the next debate because they wanted to do the next debate virtually. And he didn't want to do it virtually, but I understand why he didn't want to do it virtually. You know why he didn't want to do it virtually? Because there's a mute button. You don't want them hitting that mute button. It won't be Mr. President, Mr. Vice President. There's that click, your time's up next, and that'll be it.
But this nigga, he's in debt $400 million.
So I'm gonna say this.
That's crazy.
I felt like both of them did what they needed to do, and it didn't move the needle for me. But I've always maintained that I don't think that there's any undecided voters. I've always said there's three voters: either you voting for Trump, for Biden, or you're not voting at all for them. Yeah. But it didn't move the needle to me. Like, I left there and I was like, you know what? Pence did a good job defending Trump's policies, and Kamala did a good enough job articulating what it is that her and Biden intend on doing. And at the end of the day, neither one of them really answered any of the questions. They just had their talking points that they kept reiterating. What do you think, Zane?
Well, I think overall, for the course, for the majority of our years growing up, we could say well over 30 some odd years, ever since we got into understanding politics, is that these people that come in, these presidential candidates, they nothing but salesmen and saleswomen. And it's all about the sound bites or popular belief over fact of what's gonna make them get that vote. And once they get in, it could be a lot of different things that become distractions, such as wars, such as foreign policy barriers and all that other stuff. So a person can come in and they can have the right intentions or build the right cabinet behind them to actually get a lot of the stuff that we need to get signed as far as for these bills to get passed. But like I said, you might have something like a major war or a major crisis that comes in, and then a lot of that energy and focus goes towards that. And then when it comes to getting back, that's like when the person's on that damn last year and they can't really do much. I mean, they can sign a bill for the next president to come in and push that also too. But at the end of the day, they just salesmen, man. Just like how Rob said in our last episode, Republican and Democrat is just two wings of the same bird, man. Mm-hmm. So I don't really expect much from a lot of these candidates, because once they become president, like I said, there's so many other different things that stray them away from what they intentionally came to do. And you just gotta pray to God that these whoever wins is gonna do the right thing.
Yeah, we as citizens, we need to do a little bit more research, man. Like, Democrat, Republican, man, they're the Crips and Bloods of politics, so to speak, man. And and I hate to put it in under that tone, but I like brothers such as like yourself, Zane, and I know a couple of other brothers who do vote independent. They hold their vote. They hold their vote until they really see everything that's laid out, and then whether how the ballot goes, then they send their vote in to put that person in the office. You can't just go off of it. And you have to really find out what these policies they're looking to pass, laws they're looking to pass. You really got to do your research and find out this information.
They are salespeople though. They are salespeople. But here's the other thing though, that there are checks and balances put into government. So a person could get into office and have all these good intentions of doing all these different things, but in order for you to get most of these things done, you also have to get other people on board with actually signing off on doing them. So it's not just unilateral where you as the president, you make all these decisions and be like, well, I want to cut taxes, I want to do this, I want to do that. It's done or whatever. There's a lot of maneuvering and a lot of give and take. Like most of those bills that make it to the floor, there are tons of other things that's in that legislation that may not necessarily have anything to directly do with with the big piece that you hear about. But the reason why they're in there is because in order for them to get the votes, they had to tie this into it. So that's how you start looking at people's records. They'd be like, well, you voted for such and such, such and such. Half these politicians, I don't even know if they're aware what their voting record is until it comes around time for re-election. And then they get vetted by the candidate that's opposing them. And they're like, well, did you know on such and such bill we voted for? This is what you actually signed off on.
Right.
So that's real. I mean, I think again, a lot of the politicians, we can't place our faith solely in politicians to think that politicians are going to get the job done.
But we got to know, not to cut you off, but we got to know what our interests are. What are our interests? What do we want out of them?
I said that for the first 20 episodes of this podcast.
What do you want out of these people, man?
The first 20 episodes of this podcast, I was screaming like, yo, what is it that we want? What is it that we want?
Kamala's saying that, any family that's making less than 125 grand, that's free education. Do you want to go to school?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want that? You know what I'm saying? Do you want to start a business? What do you want? Most people don't want nothing but staying at home and watching Maury all goddamn day, keeping it real, and going out on Saturdays. Kind of to what Dr. Umar is. Niggas want to go buy Gucci. You know what I'm saying? Niggas is mad they can't go to the Knick game. You know what I mean? So you gotta say to yourself, man, what do I want for myself, for my family, especially if you're a family man or you're above 30. What do you want for the next 10, 20 years of your life? Because things is gonna be moving, B.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Once this next president's elected, things will go by so fast, man.
But you know something? You know something though also with like and I respect, because I do think that people have the right not to vote or to vote whatever their interest is. But I think sometimes what happens, because people don't educate themselves, things come along later on down the road and they find themselves in predicaments and they're like, yo, well, how the hell did this happen?
I ain't know about that. Yeah.
This happened because you didn't vote, which was a vote for
Right.
something, you know, even if it's not, let's say, because we all feel, everybody feels some sense of that there's corruption within the process. But even on the ballot, sometimes there's different measures and things like that that people have to vote on that they refuse to even look at, yo. And it's just that to me bugs me out.
That's right. OG Dad said, I want to use less money on defense and redirect the tax money to education and healthcare. I'm 100% with you, OG.
That makes sense.
That's exactly where that money needs to go. But do we know a good portion of that tax money go right across the pond?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was reading today. I was reading today where they said that the national deficit is more than the national economy at this point. And now they talk. I think Trump counter offered for the stimulus, the new thing they're trying to pass, the new legislation. I think he bumped it up to 1.8 trillion. And Nancy Pelosi said the starting conversation, she wants 2.2 trillion. The starting conversation is 2 trillion. No,
they got enough ink to print that money.
But you know something? Trump knows that, given everything that what the polls are saying, that the stimulus would be beneficial to him from a candidate standpoint. You know, he wants that good PR. And as far as printing that money or whatever, like all that's monopoly money. Yo, that's
want them to run out of ink. That's it. Don't run out of ink.
One of the main things that I would say that makes sense as far as with Trump is that he wants the jobs to come back to America. Once the jobs come back and stay in America, and for a duration of, I would say, at least a generation, right? All that money, all that capital will rebuild this economy. When we constantly doing deals with China and all these other different countries, and we shipping the workforce out across seas.
Yeah, outsourcing, man.
Yeah, outsourcing. So all that money is not being regenerated over here in America. That's the one thing that I could say that I agree with Trump.
Well, here's the issue with that though. Here's the issue with that though, Zane. Because I agree with you. We need the industry here in America, but we're thinking like what you just said, like, all right, so we have these workers and we regenerate the money. You know where the real money is at? The tax. So if you can't tax them because you've given them these tax breaks where you have people like Amazon, why would Amazon pay less in taxes or hardly close to any taxes than any other business when they generate billions of dollars? Right, so we could draw down capital from the taxes if we actually tax those corporations, but instead, our thinking is that we want the working class people, which we do need. We want working class folks to get jobs and recirculate the dollar within the nation. It has to be twofold. We need people to get the jobs, and we have to be able to tax them at a realistic rate.
Right.
It can't just be you keep the jobs here and you don't pay no taxes.
Yeah.
That how you call it that makes no sense. And if you think about it, that's why a lot of corporations have relocated within the states also. Where do they go? Look at your credit cards. Most of the credit card companies in Florida, Delaware, Texas. I don't think any of them have state taxes.
Yeah, Delaware, I know definitely no tax.
Yeah, I know definitely. Yeah, Delaware don't have no
state tax. Florida the same way?
Florida doesn't have state taxes.
Okay.
Corey says because their employees pay all the taxes. So, again, like I think that stimulating the economy, is is one thing, but I don't think that stimulating the economy is as easy as what people think it is. I don't think you can stimulate the economy by giving people 1,200 and be like, "Oh, here 1,200, go inject it into the community."
That's what's gonna happen. They're gonna stimulate. You're gonna get niggas about $2,000. They're gonna open it up. Corona's gonna be gone. And everyone gonna go to the mall right through Thanksgiving, through Christmas, through New Year's. Niggas is gonna go on a spend frenzy. Black Monday's coming back. You can buy your TV. You can do it, buy a blender. You can buy it all. That's exactly
what OG Dad said, I don't mind paying taxes. I mind what my taxes are spent on. I agree with that.
That's true.
I agree with that. But I also don't want to pay more taxes than somebody that's allegedly a billionaire.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
So, hey, another key question though, fellas. Well, I'm about to set up the question. They want things to be like that, rich, middle class, and poor, and then wealthy. Because the main reason is, ever since I say against the 80s up until now, why you think they never or groomed or made, shaped and mold a candidate that was a major or went to college for a major in economics.
Economics.
You know what I'm saying? They don't
that
want a president.
Was Andrew Yang. Andrew
But
Yang was giving people money. He got his ass out of there quick. He's like,
real quick. They don't want. It's not fixed for a president that actually makes sense, because once you have somebody that has the true formula that gets elected to become president, that majors in economy or economics and is brilliant at it, they don't want that. They don't want that.
Yeah, the corporate world is not going to fit.
That never happened, bro. They want things to be organized, confused in the way it is.
Zing, this is a good point that Corey said, though. They work on Wall Street. And that's true that, there's more money to be made on Wall Street than there is in going into government.
It is.
So,
it is.
That's a fact. We talking about coins, so let's transition to our next topic, which this topic came up on our way to Brooklyn. Me and Rob was building on this. Actually, we were sitting in my office and we was talking about it. And we was talking like not to put artists out there, because I want to be respectful to the pioneers. But I was saying to Rob, I was like, I've had an opportunity to meet a lot of pioneers or founding fathers of hip hop that helped create the culture. And one thing that seems to come up a lot of times is how people feel like, that they've been cheated or that they haven't been able to capitalize as much as other people have. And other people have profited off a culture that they created. So that just got me thinking and saying, like, should we have legacy pay? Do OGs deserve reparations? And I know Swizz at one point was saying something about reparations for the founding fathers too, when you start talking about the Kool Hercs of the world, Coke LaRock, and just those different people that, that helped create this culture. What do you think, Rob? Legacy pay? Do they deserve reparations?
Yes and no. Yes and no.
Yo, hold up. Drop everybody on. Drop down in the chat. Do they deserve reparations?
Yes and no, man. Like, all right. Hip hop is one of the greatest things that come from Black and Latinos, man. We evolved out of despair, low income, gang violence, the whole things in the 70s and the 80s. Here come Hurt and the likes of Bam and Flash to come up with this idea of playing music. Everyone play music in the house, so we get hip hop. Hip hop, it's done everything from everybody in all walks of life. We get hip hop books, we got hip hop journalists, we got hip hop this, we got hip hop that. Mm-hmm. But it has gotten so monetary where even people like Buster say, even people that don't even love hip hop is living off of hip hop. Now this is the part where the OGs, I think, are missing the point. All right, say you do give them retributions or reparations, then what you gonna do with it?
They want retribution.
So I think somebody like Hurt, he just didn't grow with the culture. I think there was a period when hip hop was getting its legs and it's starting to become very monetary, people starting to make money. He wasn't even around for that part. I think he was in Jamaica when it started to pick up.
And he was in Jamaica at the time? Yeah, I guess.
He was in Jamaica when hip hop started making some real paper, or MCs or artists or groups are starting to make paper. He kind of missed the boat. But then I look at guys like Flash and Bam, who went on to make groups and make something out of it. You know what I'm saying? Zulu Nation came out of that as well. Flash went on to do things of his own as well. So I mean, if Herc was to put a breakbeat tape together, you think niggas wouldn't buy it? Just if you're a historian, if you was to put something together where you seen Herc behind the turntables right now, even if he was just there on some Serato shit, you know what I mean? I just think he didn't grow with the culture, and because so many people are making money off of it, he's like, yo, what's up? What about me? We all eating in this, man. Like I said, even people that don't even love the damn culture of making money on. You know what I'm saying? And he had his little stint. I think he was he an A&R? He was tried as an A&R at one time, and there's a couple of other things. He got on a German label to release the tape a breakbeat tape he put up. I mean, if it didn't work out, you move on. I mean, I don't know, brother. I'm a little yin and yang with this answer, man, because it goes too far. But you don't just go get him no check though.
Yo, what's up, Zane? Reparations?
No. I believe it should have worked like this, but I would say, okay, so many Fortune 500 and Fortune 100 companies been making money off of hip hop, whether it's Pepsi Cola commercials, whether it's Doritos, whatever. I think that whoever initially signed them initial contracts, right? If they were in the best interest of hip hop and hip hop pioneers, they should have put away a little fund, right? So for every contract that was signed with these major Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies, a percentage of that, even if it was 1% of the proceeds, go back to these particular artists like Grandmaster Cash, Kool Herc, and people of that stature. But that shows you right there that they didn't give a damn about the hip hop pioneers. You can make millions upon billions of dollars, if not more, off of hip hop influence in order to attract crowds, whether through sonically, visually, through the commercials or whatever. But you don't give nothing back to the people that helped build that platform. That's a shame. But that shows you right there, prime example too. I guarantee you, it's not widely spread or known, but I guarantee you they have a fund for these rock and roll people, these people in heavy metal and all that. But hip hop,
they support one another, yo.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you say that because that's what I was thinking too. As far as like reparations are concerned, I don't know if I agree with reparations, but I do think like almost like a union or a co-op or something like that would have been a better measure. But here's where I'm with it.
Right.
I think that the times dictate. A lot of times, the times dictate how you go about monetizing things in your era. What era your art is in really lends to how you're compensated for it. So, as an example, you think about a dude like Big Daddy Kane, right? Big Daddy Kane was the artist of our generation when we were younger. Big Daddy Kane was able to monetize his celebrity to a certain extent. There are probably artists today that don't have halfway, a quarter of the ability that Big Daddy Kane has, a quarter of the catalog that Big Daddy Kane has, but probably have made one record or had a 1 or 2 year run, and they've probably made just as much as he's probably made in his career. And I attribute that to the time. And the reason why I attribute that to the time is because I think that back then, they were still trying to figure out really, really how to tap into the full monetization of hip hop. There were no streams. There was merchandise, but merchandise wasn't on the magnitude of what it is now today. It was probably just, okay, here's a record sale, here's a show. And by the way, you do a show, you get $50, not $50,000. So times to me in the context of all of this, I think dictates it. So I would say as a fan of the hip hop culture, what I'd love to see, and this is the real question, and I'm going to ask this to the folks in the chat to respond to. As a fan of the culture, what I'd love to see OG artists compensated the pioneers compensated? Yes. If I was responsible for compensating them, would I be the one to compensate them? Probably not. Probably not. I probably wouldn't. For the folks in the chat, what are your thoughts around it? Would you compensate pioneer or OG artists based on today's pay scale, or would you have been comfortable with paying them on a pay scale of when it was their era? You know, this whole conversation reminds me of the remember when Monique got into it, the comedian with Netflix, and she wanted to be paid based on her credentials. Like I think she won an Academy Award. She won an Academy Award, acclaimed comedian and everything. But they looked at the analytics, and when they looked at the analytics, they said, this is the amount of revenue that you would generate. This is the amount of money that we're going to offer you. And that's just smart business.
Right.
You can't pay, based on legacy. And you see it in sports all the time when people have washed up players that have been with their organization for a number of years. Look, I'm a Yankee fan, but the Yankees paid Derek Jeter probably $18-20 million at the end of his career a year. For what reason? His production has slipped. He wasn't an $18 or $20 million
player.
Oh, yeah. That's right. He was an $18-20 million player. Here's another thing to think about in terms of
but the names and the notorieties hold value. That's why they pay him that way, because you know he was gonna pack the seats. So him not being playing in the lineup would have destroyed. You know what I'm saying? Would have destroyed the revenue of the Yankees at that.
So Corey said, nah, they undermined Mo. Eddie got his money. Eddie Murphy. If we're talking about Eddie Murphy in comparison to Monique, I don't even think that we could compare Eddie Murphy and Monique's magnitude. But I did a little research in terms of sports, and I looked at Dominique Wilkins. Dominique Wilkins, a Hall of Fame player in the NBA Hall of Fame. You know how much Dominique Wilkins made in his career, his entire career?
About $50 million.
Let me take a wild guess. Yeah. I'll say like about. I say no more than $4 million.
16 million.
His entire
$16 million. There are over 20 million. There are over 20 million players. There are over 20 players right now that make $30 million a year. Paul Millsap ain't going to the Hall of Fame. He made $30 million a year. You get what I'm saying? So sometimes the actual time and the era dictates the wage. And Rob, we was talking about that, a few days ago. Remember the NBA was on tape delay?
Right. That's right. That's right. On tape delay. That's exactly, son. They didn't want because the money
wasn't there then.
Right. That was crazy. So damn, 16 million for Dom?
16 million.
So what?
16 million.
So how does Dom get reparations? The NBA owe him some money?
He don't. It's the time, It's the time that your art is, that your art is creating, the time that you're living in. So right now, you think about it, like even with this, what we're doing right now we're podcasting, and right now, Charlemagne and Joe Budden is locked in this heated debate over how they're gonna go about monetizing podcasts. Like Charlemagne signed this huge deal with iHeart for his Black Effect podcast network. Joe Budden left Spotify. He's doing his own independent thing. And there's all these discussions about the analytics in terms of how they go about monetizing these things. But probably 10 years ago when podcasts first came out, it was just an app on your iPhone that people listened to. Every now and then somebody listened to. Nobody had any idea it would take off and you'd be able to monetize it like that.
And most people weren't into talk. It was like talk radio. Most people weren't into that.
Yeah. So as times come and go, then I think that that people figure out, like, how do we get money? Like right now we're in the middle of a pandemic, and you see people now being creative, trying to figure out how to get money. There are people, celebrities, like, all right, I'll host your mixtape, I'll do this, I'll do that, things that people weren't even thinking about prior to this. So as time goes by, more money has been injected into it. Like I agree with what Zane said earlier. I do think that it would be nice if there was some sort of co-op right? Because the NBA, the NBA and these player unions, they set aside money for people, and these are people who have millions of dollars that have mismanaged their money, that when they retire, after a while they draw down a pension, and that's what I think would be better than giving reparations, having a pension.
But in hip hop, people got so used to not having them. When they got some money, they got to flossing. None of these dudes have any benefits. These guys got to come out of their pockets if they got a toothache. You know what I'm saying? But all that money that they have, you would think they went out and bought some damn benefits. So when they go to the doctor, they can go pay a copay. They won't even do that. But you know, we're in a time now where it really, if you're that creative as an artist or DJ or engineer, if you're that creative, you should be able to make your way and make some money. I think Herc and the likes of Hercs and others, it's unfortunate that you didn't get paid what you thought you should have gotten paid during your time. But now that you're still here, it's a time for you to, you know what I mean, to capitalize at your best effort, man. I'm sure Dominique is making more money, probably making more money now than he made in his career. You know what I'm saying? Being a broadcaster in Atlanta, and I'm sure he's doing probably a host of other things. I'm sure his popularity has grown as a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot that you can do with it, man. I like Grandmaster Caz. He's one of the guys like Jay said. I overcharged niggas for what they did to the Cold Crush because Grandmaster Caz was writing lyrics for Sugar Hill and didn't get paid for that.
Mm-hmm.
But now, as a ghostwriter, you kidding me? He can ghostwrite for anybody right now and just have the credits and get the points and have a nice publishing deal with somebody and sit back and live happy.
Yeah,
you got to be in the game. I think, that's it.
Yeah, you know what? Just now I was about to say we didn't know the business back then, but I can't say we didn't know the business back then because the same issues that people had back then, you hear rappers talking about it today. So I don't know if it's an issue of back then rather than people just, signing, feeling compelled to sign deals that's not good deals. I mean, even think about like stuff that's non-related to music. Like if you're involved in business in any capacity at some point in time, you probably signed a bad deal. Hell, your first car may have been a bad bad car note or whatever it is. Everybody signs a bad deal. It's just what you learn after that experience.
I've been there, and that's it. You got to step out. You got to take a risk, man. That's the only way you're gonna learn.
So yeah, I do feel like that the pioneers are owed something. And what I think that we owe the pioneers though is we owe them to pay homage by acknowledging like, yo, these are the forefathers. These are the people that founded and created the art. If it wasn't for them, there would be no us. Maybe pulling them in, capturing and telling their story. Like I was saying remember we was talking about on the way down there, we was talking about Roxanne Shante having her movie. And remember I was saying like even with Roxanne Shante having her movie and her movie doing so well on Netflix, who wouldn't pay to see a cool Herc movie on Netflix?
Right. That'll be the essence.
Son, I think people are still anticipating a cool Herc story.
Mm-hmm.
As long as someone's cooking it and in the making and making it and putting it together, I think your father-in-law's on the proceeds of that. That needs to come out. That needs to come out so this man can go on tours. He can do in stores. He can do all of that, man. But he gotta be willing to do that. It's still work involved. It ain't just getting a check because you know what I mean. You was the inventor.
Yeah,
work, man.
Yeah, Corey, I seen your comment. I don't want to gloss over it, but Corey did say they undermined Monique, that Eddie got his money. That was around the time I think Eddie signed the deal. I feel like Dave Chappelle probably signed the deal with them, and I don't know if Kevin Hart has signed one also. And I think what's her name? Amy Schuler, that's her name. Yeah, she signed the deal also, and all of them got offered far more money than her. I think she said they offered her like $200,000 or $250,000, and they wanted exclusive rights where she couldn't use the jokes again. And again, I'm saying like she's decorated. She's decorated and everything, but I'm sure they looked at the analytics. They probably looked at ticket sales, probably looked at like how her other movies perform. They probably looked at how her previous Netflix specials and everything that she did, looked at how those performed, and then they probably made a business decision to say like, this is the amount of money that we want to give you, And the beauty of it is that I think she handled it the right way. She walked away from it because she didn't feel like it was fair competition.
Man. Yeah, she kept on integrity.
Yeah, she walked away. She felt like, and that's the beauty of it. Like, if you don't feel like it's fair compensation for you, you walk away from it.
Walk away. Yeah, son. Keep your integrity, man. Be another day. Mo will be back. I'm sure she'll be back.
Mhm. Yeah, I think she's doing something else now. And you know what the other thing is? They painted her with
Working
a
it
brush.
out. She getting slim. She out there working it out,
They
kid.
painted her with a brush though that she's difficult to work with. So I think that may be hindering her um, a little bit, or maybe potentially a barrier that she's trying to undo the stigma of. So then the last topic that we wanted to talk about was Black ownership or the lack thereof, and the gap between us and why. What do you say on this, Rob?
Yo, man, there's a lot of major things, man. Black ownership is a major crisis. You know, right after the 2008 housing crisis, other nationalities were able to recover, except us. We were declining. You know, home ownership is a wealth builder, man. It increases civic engagement. You
Mm-hmm.
know other people, your neighbors, what they're doing. It's good to be in great company. Like I live in this cul-de-sac, and my cul-de-sac pretty much is like the UN. I got every nationality living here, and everyone's professional. Everyone's doing things. The children, we all commingle. So that's it. That civic engagement is necessary. It's
Mm-hmm.
taking nothing away from living in metropolitan areas, but metropolitan areas are some of the areas that's heavily hit. Minnesota being one of them. The price point gap, or the point gap between whites and blacks in Minnesota is almost 50%.
How
You know what I'm
about
saying? It's crazy, man. But then you look at something like in Somerville, South Carolina, it's 15%. You know, more Southerners find it to buy homes
that?
than it
Mm-hmm.
is in metropolitan areas, because in metropolitan areas you have the advantage of renting, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of our people rent. They
Mm-hmm.
love renting, man. And you know, I know income is a big disparity, and um, you know, I said income is a big disparity, marital rates, and of course that good old credit score. You know, we're not financial literacy. You know what I mean? But I think ownership is very doable. There's nothing to run away from. I think we just get too complacent with being comfortable and staying in these areas of just, well, you know, the store's there, this is there, I don't want to move. I like what I'm doing. When what I'm learning, being a homeowner now, is the financial literacy. There's so much that goes into just buying a home. The banks gotta approve it, the appraisers, you know, people come in to appraise the house, and if you looking to pay for a certain amount, but if it appraised for a certain number, the bank ain't giving you no money. You know what I'm saying? These things you need to learn. You learn about your realtors. It's a whole lot to learn. But I truly believe it's something that we need to encourage one another to start doing. I know up here in New Milford, there's a lot of property, there's a lot of land. And for all my New York listeners, I know a lot of people like going to Atlanta and running to North Carolina because you get a bang for your buck. I'll tell you something, there's some good property in the north too. You know what I'm saying? Um, property tax and things like that are very much different, man. So listen, man, I encourage everyone to be a homeowner.
Yeah. OG Dad says, imagine if how to own a home was taught in high school or even middle school. That's a good point. I
But
think
yo,
the reason.
I mean, there's a point I want. I'm glad he said that. Between '89 and 2005, blacks and Latinos bought more houses than anybody. But from 2005 to 2013, that increase that was made between '89 and 2005 is
Mhm.
totally wiped out.
Well, you know what I think it
You know,
is.
one of the reasons why.
I'll say
Several
this.
reasons.
I'll think this. Look, this is my opinion on it. I think capital, one, us having capital, and two, consumerism, I think is a huge part of it.
We want to buy the Gucci.
Well, here's the thing though. I'll say about consumerism, like
And I like Gucci. I ain't gonna hate. I
we
like.
are we're consumers. We're consumers, and I think a lot of times predominantly we consume a lot of things that depreciate and they don't appreciate as assets, right? And I think that financial literacy is a big issue that we have as people of color. We like to attribute the fact that we don't have financial literacy to some of the pitfalls. But the fact of the matter is, if you say financial literacy and it has a negative connotation, like if we're talking about, well, people stop spending your money on Jordans or Gucci or whatever it is, then automatically I think a barrier comes up and then people are not receptive to it, because for a lot of people, they like, who are you to tell me
I can't
how
buy
to go, how to go about managing my finances? So I think that we need to figure out the right language to use to make people embrace financial literacy, to get them to the point that they understand, like, potentially you could own a home, because that gives you an opportunity to begin to work towards accumulating some level of wealth and closing the wealth disparity. I think also another thing is that college debt, right? So for Black people, a lot of times when we go to college and we get strapped with student loans, right? So you coming out of school, you got all these damn student loans. And previously, remember, the goal was, you go to college, you get out of college, you get married, you purchase your first home or whatever it is. But now there's failure to launch, right? Because our white counterparts are coming out of college and they have minimal debt that they have to worry about. If we're straddled with 200 grand worth of student loan debt, we're getting a menial job, or let's say you walk into a job where you get $75,000. Great, you making $75,000 a year. Your student loan a month is $600 or whatever. You got to pay your health care out of your check. You got to pay rent. You got to do this. You got to do that. Where's your savings to actually accumulate enough money to actually, save to purchase a home? And you could get an FHA loan and put less money down and things like that. But I also think, again, I think that we have to take a step back and we have to look at these things that some of these things is systemically in place also to prevent us from having ownership. But we do have to really step back and begin to look at, like, what is it that what is the message that we're conveying to people also? Because as much as I believe that being an owner is great, there are some people that I know for a fact that they don't want the responsibility also of being owners.
Not at all. You're right.
Yeah, because you know what? Also, some people don't have the capital that comes along with maintaining a home. For some people, it's like, I'd rather be able to call my landlord if my fridge go out, or if my my hot water heater go out. In this current house that me and my wife is in, within our first year and a half of owning this house, we had to get a new furnace and a new hot water heater. If we didn't have the capital for that, we would have been shot. And then the other thing is what you were saying, Rob, like the credit also. People were put in a position where their credit is not good enough because you probably were strapped with those student loans, or you signed that bad car note deal or whatever.
FICO score is low, or you don't even have a FICO score. Honestly, because some people don't even have a job, even create a FICO score. So they even establish no credit or nothing.
Yeah. Guys, Dan, you was gonna say something about this?
I think it's a lot of different factors. It goes back to what Brother Rob was saying earlier about how there wasn't really a green light for us to be moving out, to different areas and stuff like that. You got to think, Shannon, like back us all growing up, like we all in the same age range. Look at the unfortunate situation, because being that we were talking about hip hop, so this the segue from that to what we're talking about now.
Mm-hmm.
The most tragic and unfortunate situation that the hip hop community celebrates is the drug dealing era. You know what I'm saying? And even though it was very unfortunate, it was bittersweet. We had people that lost family members, that had houses and homes broken up and all that. Kids sent off to the state and all that. And at the same time, you had people that gained a lot of money. A lot of them lost their lives. Some washed their money and was able to, clean their money and open up different, companies or whatever. And then also flourish that into owning land and getting into real estate and all that. But to make a long story short, you got to look at it too, is that now we see the stuff that was going on way back that started in Harlem and other places though. Mm-hmm. You got the gentrification. Now back then, why they didn't have the reverse gentrification back then in the 80s era when a lot of these blacks was making all this money? You know what I'm saying? they still had different barriers. Like you can have all that damn money. You had people that buy several houses cash, but like how Rob said, if you don't got no FICO score and your FICO score is not right, you don't got no credit, and your credit's not right, you're not gonna be able to get that house.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people just didn't know what to do with money. I think
They didn't know what to do with their money. Right.
If we learned about money in high school, even elementary school, know what to do with a dollar. You know what I'm saying? There's many ways you can use your money to do many different things, but we had no literacy. So a lot of these drug dealers, of people that were in the game during the 80s, they couldn't do nothing with the money. They was sitting on.
They were just sitting on it.
Yeah, and they couldn't, furnish it anywhere. I mean, we talk about the Kevin Child story. You know what I'm saying? He opened up a sneaker store. You know what I mean? Or a clothing store because he was catering to his demographic. Niggas like looking fly. People like wearing clothes. But that was property too. You know what I'm saying? He had a storefront or whatever. But we're talking about ownership, man. This is yours.
Right.
This piece of property.
Nobody take it from you. Right.
No one can take it from you. This becomes yours, it becomes your daughters, and then becomes your granddaughters. Something that you can hold. The old myth of 40 acres and a mule. Once you have a piece of property and it's yours, you can do what you want with it, man.
Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Plus also because I was touching what Rob said. I just want to do a little brief journey of what you said earlier, Shannon. As far as with these, us as people that went to college or trade school, whatever, and they have these loans. One of the main antecedents of that situation where these students can't break down these loans fast enough, or just take forever to break down these loans, is because they go for majors that are oversaturated in the job market. Now, if you have something that is like highly needed, like cybersecurity, IT, criminal justice, stuff like that, but you might go to school for something else that's heavily oversaturated. So when you come out, you might have had these great things and all that. But when you get into that job market is oversaturated. So you're gonna be competing against way more people than somebody else that has something at the top tier of something that is that is a necessity in the job market, such as IT, cybersecurity, and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, even without taking into consideration what the job market is, think about it. Like if I'm going to college and my parents can't afford to pay for me to go to college, and it's going to cost $200,000, but Bobby, who's a white man, is going to college and it's going to cost $200,000, but his family can afford to pay for it. When both of us complete college, I'm already $200,000 in the hole.
In the negative.
Walking out of college and going right into, he could go into a menial job and not have to worry about paying the $500, $600 a month student loan, and focus on, a savings to work towards actually getting a home. Me, I got to work whatever the menial job is to build up, actually get to a point where I make a decent amount of money. While I'm working that menial job, I got to pay rent, or I may have to live at home, transportation, food, clothing, whatever it is. So look, there are a lot of different factors that go into it. What I really think, though, is that we have to really figure out how to have a conversation in terms of financial literacy with folks where they don't feel on the defense for the things that they've done, because everybody's made frivolous purchases, or everybody's purchased things that depreciate, like that's just a fact. It is what it is, but if you come to people and you start clowning them like, yo, look at you done went out and bought a $10,000 handbag, you could have took that, you could have got your LLC, you could have got this, that, or whatever, they're gonna be looking at you like, if you don't get out of my, automatically they're gonna go Umar Johnson and get defended.
Great question that you brought up. Now, do you attribute any of that, or like a high percentage of that, to hip hop?
To what, like people's financial literacy?
Yeah,
I think societal. I think it's a societal issue. Issue. It's almost like when we spoke to Kaba Kamina, he was talking about surviving, right? So part of surviving, like we're working right now from a premise that everybody's American dream is to own a home. Everybody's dream is not to own a home. For some people, their dream, sadly, is, yo, I want to get a fresh Benz, I'm good. Or, yo, I'd be great if y'all
I
heard,
just want a job.
yeah, I heard a dude say to me before, yo, if I could get a job making 50 grand a year, I'll be happy.
I'll be
So
good.
everybody has a different perception of what their dream is and what they want. And I think, like, you know, our influences is what we see around us. So yes, hip hop contributes, but also there are some people that are going to stay in that surviving stage where, you know, remember when Nas said in one of his songs, I thought Jordans and the gold chain was living it up. For some people are content and happy.
Okay. Yeah, man. It's
what song was that? Damn.
Street Dreams. Street Dreams. Yeah. I thought Jordans and the gold chain was living it up. Now, for us, because of our experiences and where we are in life, you know, we have a different perspective around it where it's like, you want to own your home, you want to have property, you want these different things. But I guarantee you there's somebody that's, you know, there are people that are older than us that they have no desire to own a home. Their dream may be like, you know what, I'm just cool with having this 1-bedroom apartment. Yep. I'm gonna get me some nice Louboutins. I'm gonna get whatever it is, and that's it for them.
That's it. No, they're I won't say motivation or drive. It's just not what they want. They have no desire to. If they already have what it is that they feel is deemed necessary around them, good. You know what I mean? It's those that see beyond what they're dealing with to say, I want better for myself. I want to do this. I want to have these nice things. I want to own a home. I want to run a business. You know, those are just for aspiring people who want to see better for themselves. Taking nothing away to anybody that want to stay in the Bronx or anywhere else, the hood. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the case may be.
Yo, here's a way to think of it. Have you ever met anybody who didn't want nice things? I've never met anyone.
I know several people that do just plain Jane, like a plain.
Look where I'm going with this. I've never met anyone that doesn't like nice things. You know what the difference is? We all have a different opinion of what is a nice thing.
What is a nice thing?
Right. Wants and needs. Yeah.
We have a different opinion of what I deem is to be something that's a nice thing that I aspire for. Somebody else may not, but that doesn't necessarily make my thing better than them. Yeah. There are people that, you know, for them, I may say, you know, it's a nice thing for me to go out and go buy a fancy car. For them, they may say, you know what, it's a nice thing for me to actually to be able to take my dream vacation to go to Mexico or whatever.
Right.
Whatever it is. Everybody wants nice things.
Right. That's right. Yeah. You know, you're just putting it out there, man. I mean, ownership is a great thing, man.
What OG said?
Don't blame the B-boy. Indentured servitude exists in other financial traps before breakdancing. Yeah, that's true. That's
you know what? And I love the B-boy. The B-boy is what kept me looking at fashion, you know. Yeah. I watched the B-boy. That's something I fell in love with Pumas and Adidas watching the B-boys.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, he's not lying.
He's not lying, no.
There's so many variables that come into play that we can't just attribute it to one thing and be like hip hop is the reason why. The glorification of these luxury items that depreciate, it goes beyond hip hop. It's just a matter of what people like.
Yeah, I mean that's just a factor. That was just a general question.
Yeah, you know, like I maintain that I think everybody likes nice things. Everybody just has a different impression of what a nice thing is. Like you could go to somebody's house and they think the world of it, but to you'd be like, okay, it's a regular house.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so it just is what it is. Everybody's perception is different. But again, like I do think that we need to figure out, you know,
how do we create a conversation
exactly
and make it comfortable talking about money, make it comfortable talking about saving, make it comfortable talking about investing, taking some of that money that you would know of the consumer things and put it somewhere and sitting on it, let it get.
You know what it is, y'all.
We can do it though. We can have. It starts with the conversation.
Starts with the conversation. Yeah.
It starts with the conversation, and it's gonna rub some people the wrong way. Nah, nigga, I like doing this. Nah, I gotta have a It's all right, bro. You can, and them sneakers ain't going nowhere. That hat ain't going nowhere. You know what
But
I mean?
it's gonna be an end game eventually.
What's the end game?
The end game is shit. You wake up one day. What's that song by DMX? You woke up and what's something? what's that? Slipping. You was too fly to see the light. Like you wake up like 60, 70 years old, like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? But I tell
but
you,
Zane, not to be funny, but what you're saying right now is exactly what I mean about like when makes the financial literacy conversation, you know, I call it makes it difficult because you can't talk to a person from off of a pedestal and try to tell them, you know, and expect them to receive it in a way that is that if there's a negative connotation around it, almost as if to say, yo, I got my financial shit together, you get yours together, then people are gonna look at you.
You know what it is though?
Say that I don't have it together. I just don't
know what it is though. One of the main things that hold us back as a people is that we can't accept accountability or accept the truth. Whenever we accept the truth, it's like somebody's hating or they talking down. I mean, nah, it's a lot of things that people need to hear, but the antennas get, you know, bend or break off or go down and they hearing the truth about it. Man. It's just like prime example, right? It's just like, okay, a person that went out partying all night, they might have smashed 2 or 3 chicks or whatever, did all types of stuff, right? They wound up walking into the church. They go into the church, didn't go home or whatever, or probably went home, washed up, went to the church, and you got that pastor, right? And you could be all the way at the end of the damn church. But when that pastor's talking to you, it just cuts straight through you. Like that pastor's just like you in the front row, but you really in the back row. And that's what our people have to take accountability for, man. We got to know like whether a person is the same color as us, white, Spanish, whatever. If you wrong about something, or if they have a good or truthful fact that's relevant and resonates with whatever's going on, you can't pull that race card a lot of times.
Yeah.
A lot of like for me, I feel a lot of stuff that goes on and people say it's racist. It's not really racist because at the end of the day, if somebody's acting like a fool and we see it, and we might call that person, oh, that's that dumbass nigga, you know what I'm saying? But if a white person say it or a Spanish person say it, it's like, okay, but nigga doesn't really define color. It defines
people need to stop being. In order to receive information, you have to check your ego.
You have to be open.
Yeah. You gotta be open. You can't be emotional about it. If it does hit a certain nerve, you need to check yourself. It's not what the person said that hurts you. It's you hurting you, not be able to take information in and kind of just process it and be like, oh damn, he's talking to me for a reason. I don't know how to manage my money, or I am doing some crazy things out in the world. I need to check myself. I need to check my behavior. But that comes from knowing
people can't take accountability, man.
Well, here's the thing.
That's the one thing that holds a lot of people back. Go ahead, Shannon.
I was gonna say, here's the thing though. The people that really care about you in your life are the people that's gonna be open and honest with you. Because they're gonna tell you because they want you to grow. But you on the other side of that, you have to be open to actually hearing it. People can't. People don't want to hear it. Sometimes it's difficult to hear it. So sometimes you got to sit with it and actually process it and sift through whatever your emotions or whatever your feelings are in the moment, and say like, this person is telling me this with good intentions.
See, so, but this is what I don't understand. Like, I know we did episodes before. Like, okay, if a friend or family member is telling you what's good for you, you know, people won't be receptive to it. But if they hear it on a goddamn talk show, or if they hear it from
that's impersonal
rapper, it's personal, bro.
It makes it different. It's impersonal because if your ego won't allow you to receive the information, you view it as a personal attack. If it's coming from an outside source, a person on the radio, of the video, TV show, they have a personal connection with you. So you're listening objectively and you're like, well, maybe I take this, maybe I don't. But if it's coming from somebody who has a relationship with you, then if you can't receive it, then it comes across
they want to refrain from it, right?
OG Dad says, I knew a friend that drove the big body Benz while living in the same Gun Hill Project bedroom. He was raised in financial literacy.
Damn.
You see, decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Straight print. That's can't get no clearer than that.
Wait, so it looks like OG Dad is from the Bronx then, because he mentioned Gun Hill.
He's still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, trying to figure out who OG Dad is, yo.
Yeah.
We gotta get OG Dad on
shout
the
out,
show,
shout
man.
out to OG Dad, man. One day you gotta come on and be one of the special guests on here, man. We would love to have you on here, bro.
Yeah. But you know what? Maybe we should have think about having a future episode where we talk a little bit more about like accountability and what makes people less receptive to
That'll be great.
and learning how to check your emotions, man. Let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
Words are powerful. Like your point. In church, the pastor or the reverend, all he's using is words, but it's in the context of how he's using them that get people the Holy Ghost and running up and down the aisles. It's only the power of word. Once you understand the power of word, you sit and you listen, they start to resonate with you. And it should encourage you for you to look at yourself and be like, yo, maybe I need to really check myself. That's what it's supposed to do. But people take it, like you said, people take it personal. You call them out. I ain't doing that. Look at you. It's like that's not where I'm going with it, but we'll get there.
Yeah, Ken said, someone asked me what's wrong with being broke. That ought to tell you some people are okay with nothing.
Absolutely.
Right.
Some people just like being who they are.
Yeah. It's that, I don't know if you guys ever saw that meme on social media where it's the guy, they have it's I guess it's supposed to talk about like being grateful, and they have the guy that's looking out the window at the dude on the bike, and he's like, man, I wish I had that bike. And the dude on the bike is looking at the man in the car, and he's like, man, if I could only have that car. All it is just about your vantage point and
your perspective, man.
Yeah.
You'll get it. We'll get it.
So in terms of, I think there are a number of factors that come into play with Black ownership, and some of them are systemically in place that hinder Black ownership. Then when you start talking about credit lines and bank actually extending credit to people to purchase these properties, and then when you, like I said, like the whole thing around that student loan debt that people are saddled with, and you add in the financial literacy piece, there are many different factors that have hindered us. And that, I think Joe Biden has something in his Lift Every Voice plan for Black America that's supposed to help with home ownership. If he gets elected, that's something that we got to hold his feet to the fire with, to ensure that people actually have an opportunity.
We're still under the 1968 Fair Housing Act, which prohibits the discrimination of, like fair housing and fender lending compliance because of race. So, we have that advantage. But, most people, like I said, live, especially in the metropolis, in these areas, in city areas, people want to rent. They don't want to buy homes. They want to live in the building on the 16th floor with the balcony. You know what I'm saying?
And to pay a lot of money for it. Like I know a buddy of mine. This dude lives in New York, and I kid you not, man. I don't know how many thousands he pays for this, but I mean it's a great area view, great area. But I'm like, yo, you could have bought you could have paid 2 mortgages, which is that, But
I know a person who lives in the Bronx. I was going to say semi-gentrified, but if you ask me, it's gentrified because the building they live in got a pool, got a daycare, they got a roof deck, and it's right down the block from the Old Golden Lady. If anybody knows what the Old Golden Lady
is that Hunts Point?
Yo, son, B, and I'm like,
what you talking about? Yo, that's bro. That's what that's called. That's called bro. Now bro.
When I went in the spot, I was like, hey, this shit is right here. Like, how is this right here? But she can afford it, paying for it. I want to know
How much you think a spot running for roughly? Nothing under what?
Rent wise,
Yeah,
$3,000,
man.
2,500, $3,000, maybe more, depending on if you got 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, whatever.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? A lot of young professionals that live in New York, the young professionals, they're working pretty decent jobs. You know?
Yo, that area up and coming too is real artsy. They got bistros.
Yeah.
I know exactly what he's talking about. Ken says a lot of times we don't share knowledge and we don't work together. Money is made on a printing press. There's enough to go around. Yeah, that's true. It's the crabs in the barrel. Everybody think that, you know what, that there's $1 to be made and I got to make it.
That's it. And that right there has always held us back. People sharing knowledge. I remember dudes used to do that when we was in high school. Yo, where you get them sneakers from? I ain't telling you I get them sneakers. They never want to tell you where they got sneakers, hoodies, jeans, none of that. Because they want you looking like them. But I don't know, man. We'll get it together. But black ownership is a great thing, man. It was a good point that I had to make too about it too, man. I said black ownership was the same as it was 20 years ago. Just 20 years ago, America would have 770,000 additional black owners.
Black homeowners, yeah, I saw that stat.
What the hell was going on back then? I think it was a thriving community, economy. I think a lot of people were coming home from colleges, getting jobs.
Mm-hmm.
People were getting more promotions. There was a lot going on from the late 80s into the 90s into the 2000s.
Another thing too
was the marriage rate. The marriage rate was higher.
Marriage rate was higher. It was a lot of positives going on at that time, and I think with the 2008 housing crisis and all that shit that was happening on during then, it turned people sour, man. People was just like, I'm tired of this. I'm going back to renting.
Plus, we also got to factor in like the early 90s up until about 3 years ago. It was a lot of wars. You had Desert Storm and all this other stuff back in the 90s and all that, or Gulf War and all that. So you had a lot of blacks and minorities that were on that VA loan. You know what I'm saying? That was coming back, and they had a guaranteed, housing and all that stuff too. Yeah, so I think the job that was a major factor too, as far as how things were back then.
Well,
military personnel coming back.
Well, you still technically, even with like right now, like people in the military, they do have access to getting, special loans and everything, housing loans, but they make them jump through hoops. They make them jump through hoops to get that.
I mean that too, but you gotta look at the dip. We had the crash of the economy and all that. There was a lot of people that were given the mortgages that really weren't qualified, and a lot of haywire stuff.
But since 2008, we're the only ones still declining. The gap is getting bigger. You know what I'm saying? And remember, there was a time where they definitely redlined us. They wasn't allowing us to get in certain neighborhoods. They was making them pure Caucasian and selling us the peanuts at the end of the show. But now the gap is widening, and we have the advantage to go and buy a home without there being anything redlining. Like, it was legal for them to give Caucasians the better pick of the litter, and they give us what's left. But now they can't do it. And this has been for the last 40, 50 years. But like I said, it's all perception. It's all what you want. It's all desire.
I think that goes back to what you were saying too earlier, Brother Rob, and also Shannon, and what I agreed upon too. A lot of people, like just in the state of New York, in New Jersey, you have a lot of black millionaires, but they don't want the home. They rather live in a condo or apartment or whatever. They don't want to. Yeah.
Well, this concludes this episode, but we got some good shows lined up that I'm excited about. One in particular we not allowed to talk about because but the publicist told us we can't talk about it as yet. But we got some good episodes coming up soon. So everybody, please like, comment, subscribe. If you haven't watched some of the previous episodes and you're new to us, go back and check out some of the previous episodes.
Yeah, some
With
jewels,
us.
man. Some
You know,
things.
I've been going back watching some, and I got like some favorite shows. Man, I went back the other day and I watched the very first episode. Well, I listened to the very first episode because we weren't recording at that time.
Wow.
I listened to it, yeah, and I was like, man, like, yo, the evolution of No Ideas Original Podcast is something.
You got me inspired. You got me smiling over here. I'm gonna go check.
Tell you what, fellas, do y'all have like 2 overall favorite shows, or is more than 2? Like if you had to pick out of all episodes done, because today's the 40th episode, correct?
Yeah, today's the 40th. I'm trying
Y'all
to
have like a top 2, or that's too small of a number to even like break down.
let me see. Top 2. One of the ones that I like, the one with Demont Pinder.
I like B Perks.
I like the B Perk episode.
I like Willie Esco.
Yeah, Willie Esco was dope. Yeah, it was dope.
That was good.
What about Ron G, man? Ron G had a good, you know.
Now Ron G was dope,
Ron
man.
G was good, yeah.
He gave us that little Fat Joe story, which was dope.
Oh,
too.
that was so funny. Yeah, I remember.
Be cool.
Yeah. So I always say like, go back, give us a shot, listen, check it out. If you haven't, you know, go to YouTube.
Some jewels in them shows, man.
Yeah.
Oh, one of my favorites, not to cut you off, was Elder, about 2 episodes ago.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Man.
If you aren't following us already on IG, follow us on IG, No Idea Ridge. Peace, everybody. Have a good night.
Hey, have a good weekend, people.
Peace.